Hi, Uche, in real life.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Uchenna Gibatokia, and I'll be sharing with you today some of my tricks and tips on how I quickly prototype ideas for short stories or environment assets for games or just making games or telling stories. So um, I'm I'm a game artist mostly, and my favorite tool. One of my favorite tools is I prefer Blender, Unity, and Unreal Engine because they are free, and they give me access to a lot of tools like industry standard tools I can use to achieve some of my ideas. So today, the topic I'll be focusing on is I'm using Blender 3.2, and the topic I'll be focusing on is making art for in Blender for game engines for real time rendering, and it's not hard, but you have to take note into for certain things before you build out what you're building. I spent years making a lot of mistakes, and I hope I can bring some of my ideas, my lessons I've learned to you guys and share with you guys. So let's start. So I'll be starting with Blender. Blender is my software. But first, let me first show you what I'm trying to achieve today. So the lesson will be a two-part lesson. This is the first part. Will be shaping out just one basic asset, the hot, and maybe any other stuff we need to make. And I also encourage people to not only try and do all the heavy lifting by yourself. Like even though you're using Blender to achieve what you're trying to do, also know that there are tools out there or there are platforms out there designed to help you that are free, like Sketchfab and um, Polyhaven, Texture Haven. All these assets are there for you to use to help you get your ideas out faster, quicker, and in decent qualities. So this platform I'm using right now is called Miller Notes. So it's like my art board, my mood board, where if I have ideas, I just quickly put them out there, and I try to look at them together and say, okay, what am I trying to create? So I I was confused what to teach to share with you guys actually, and so I decided to say, you know what, let me share some Blender and some Unity, sprinkle some Unity and Blender together. So I wanted to make hot because I noticed that out there we have lack of African assets out there for telling stories, especially for games, right? And that's my realm, game art. So, but they're not as much as African assets as you can find. So I just said, let me try something like making a hot. But so I try to go to not stick to what I'm saying. So even though I put all these things up here, trying to look at them, gather resources that will help me for references, I try to still stay loose and creative as much as I can. These are just to guide me and to keep me focused. But at the same time, I'm going to go outside the box with the ideas. So I'm going to be practicing what we call called gray boxing or white boxing. It's in between the finishing and the planning, of a game. So, for example, you want to see how your character will be in the environment, which assets are going to be more necessary to make, which assets will take priority. White boxing and gray boxing helps you when you make your basic assets, and then you put them in the scene. You realize which assets should take more priority, and it also helps you plan out your environment while the artists are working on the full high resolution artwork. So now let's jump into Blender and start. So I'm making a hot today. We have an hour to do that. So okay, let's start. So making a hot, it's like two basic shapes mostly by default. If you are an artist by default, this is just two shapes. There will be um what they call it, cylinder for the base, for the body, and then there'll be a cone for the top, right? Okay, so let's start with that first. Let's start with that, and let's get that basic coming out. And let's not forget that we're trying to make for real-time rendering, and we possibly will be duplicating this asset around that environment. So we have to make sure that the polygons are decent enough for you to still share them and duplicate it around the scene, and not be too expensive on whatever your PC or mobile phone or whatever will finally use that assets or display the assets. So let's start. So I'll get in the cylinder. So this is Blender 3.2. If this is your first time using Blender, I don't think this course is complicated. It can be beginner to intermediate. So I'm sorry if you can hear the mosque beside my house. I'm sorry, I stay close to the mosque. I hope you can hear that. Okay, so let's continue. So let's start. So I will start with adding. Wow, I'm sorry guys if you can hear that. I'm really sorry. The mosque is really blaring. I don't know if it's bleeding too. Wow. Okay, let's just add the asset. So I'll start by adding a mesh in the scene in the object mode. We quickly add the cylinder. So this cylinder is going to be acting as the base of the hut, right? And then I would quickly go through. I don't want it to have both top and bottom. We don't need that. So let's take that off. And that will be simply just saying nothing. So it's going to be hollow up to the bottom. And then I want it's 32 vertices right now. I don't think we need that much. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid so much polygons going into what we're trying to make even before we're done. So let me make it like 12. Wow, this is just wrong timing for this mouse to be disturbing me right now. Um, so the radius is fine. So we're giving it like 12 vertices just to reduce the amount of polygon we'll be expending, right? And one more thing, I like to bring in, I like to make sure I have like a human live character skill that will help guide me with my help me check the skill of what I'm building. So let me quickly import a base mesh of a character. So let me say import FBX. I'll bring in. Let me look for Drake. This is an alien figure, but it will do like humanoid. So I'll bring it in. Okay, so I'll move it to the side. I just need it as reference to help me. Let's say this is the size of a man and I'm making a building. It's not like human scale accurate, but at least it will guide me to know what the size of the door, what I'm trying to build. So I think this is fine. So let me just move this up to the center, to the above to the floor, and then we have to scale it out. Scale it out. Sorry. Need to scale this out. I will tab to go into the edit mode, and I will Alt and S to scale it out like this. So we can tell already as it is right now. Let's say this was the man. We need to make it a bit taller, right? Because he's almost as tall as the house base already without the roof. So let's make it a bit taller. To do that, I will go into um, the line mode, edge mode, or what's it called? It's called edge mode. Yes, you can either go up to the top and just click it, or just tap number 2 on your keyboard, and it will take you there. I want to select round up the top bar. Click on this, hold Alt and Shift to select round, and I will pull it up. Use the move tool to just drag it up, just to bring it up a bit higher. Okay, so I think this is fair enough. Yeah, this is better. So now we need to make a door, right? Let's put the door quickly. Let's put the door quickly. Um, quickly, I want to go to the front view so I can look at it. I can look at this straight, and to make a door, I would use the Boolean tool, right, to cut a shape into this surface. So I'll get the cube quickly into the scene, add mesh, cube. I'm sorry if this is boring, but this is the life. So I'll bring this into the scene, and then quickly let's pull this into the scene to the shape we want. I prefer to not just shape with my eyes. I like where I've added the boolean, but still I want to have a bit of control as I select what I want. So I will select the mesh, the main mesh itself. I want for the base of the building, for the body of the hut, and then I will go to my modifier properties, add modifier, add the boolean tool. You know, so this boolean tool right now, in case it's too fast, sorry. I hope the recording this lecture so somebody can watch it later. So if you add a modifier, the boolean tool is under the generate tab. There's modify, there's generate. I think it's the third one, yes. Click on it and then we have it added. But we want, so we're telling this, we want this shape to cut, to have a square cut into it, right? So now that I've added the boolean modifier, we can go and pick the shape we want, this cube, which is this cube, and leave it as difference. So the difference is we want, after we're done, the difference will be the hole in this cylinder, the shape of the door, right? So we will select the door box. We want to be able to see control. We want to have a control of the door, right? We need to see what we're doing, because right now we still can't tell exactly what we're doing. I will select this and I will go to object properties in the properties tab on the right, this here, and I will scroll down to somewhere called the viewport. I think it's the viewport display. Hopefully, yes, viewport display of the mesh in the viewport display. This is where you're telling the Blender is telling the objects in the scene how they behave, how they will be seen, and I want it to be a certain, because I want to be able to have, I want to be able to see as I manipulate. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So I want to see what I'm doing. So what I need to do now is I will change this from textured to wire to wired. So now I can see exactly as I manipulate the shape I'm cutting through the door. It gives me more control. It gives me access to see what I'm trying to do. And yeah, so let me go now into the edit mode. While the cube is selected, I'm going to edit mode, and then I can quickly start to reshape this to suit what I need. So let me quickly bring it down a bit. No, I think this way, bring it down like this. So I hope you can hear me, please, because I don't know if you can hear me. I will go to the um, face mode, face select mode. I can choose to click it here, or I press number 3 on my keyboard, and it gives me that. So I'll click on this face because I want to push this in. I don't want it to be too out. Yeah, I think this is fine. And select this, push this in. So let me delete, click on this. I can click on X on my keyboard to delete. So I'll say face mode. I delete this to give me access to this. And so now I can simply just go and say, okay, now I think I like what I'm seeing. And I think this is fine. I think even the character can fit through the door if he walks through the door. I still think it's still too wide, but let me just try and let's bring it in a bit. Let's make it a bit, it's still too wide. Okay, this is fine. Because he's not going to walk into the house arms wide open like he's trying to hug the building, right? So I think if his arms are down by his side, he can walk through the door. He's not that tall, right? Okay, so this is a good start for us. This is a good place for us to start. Let's quickly accept that we're okay. This is what we want, and we're taking this. So let me quickly go click on the body of the building, this cylinder base mesh, and then I'll go back to my modifier properties, and then we will apply the boolean. Now we've done that, we have accepted the boolean. We're stuck with this box right now, so we can now delete this, and we have a door cut into the boolean is one of the boolean tool is one of the most like necessary tools when it comes to sculpting or editing or hard surface designs. I think the boolean tool is one of the necessary things you need to understand that you have to use. And I'm trying to not use sculpting because sculpting kind of creates a lot of resolution details that can eventually bother the engine, right? If you're taking it to a game engine, and especially if you hope that asset to be used in a game, right? You want the best quality, but you still want it to be not too expensive on your RAM or your processor. And remember that this asset is going to be duplicated like at least 4 or 5 times, if not 10 times. So you have to understand that I have to make it, even when it's duplicated 10 times, the system doesn't go crazy, right? So we already have the door cut. The next thing we need to do is we're trying to let's go and start trying to shape out the roof. And if we go back to the picture right now, the reference I opened initially, the hut is not completely, sometimes they put wood in between, trying to make it stand. There are woods in the walls and it's mud wall and everything. So I'm trying to keep to what a hut will look like, but also trying to add, I mean, I've never really seen a hut. I'm trying to now remix it, make it interesting, so we don't end up just seeing the same thing, right? So, um, let me first get the roof going. Okay, so the roof is very straightforward for us to do. So, let's click on the cylinder, and then we'll go to the edit mode quickly. So, edit mode. Let me do this so quickly, and so I want to make the roof, and I need to borrow the line edge of the top. So let me go to the edge by clicking number 2 on my keyboard in edit mode to give me the edge mode. And if I click on top now, I get the edge mode. And if I hold my shift and alt and click on that same edge, it allows me to select round. Although you can still decide to select once and just hold your shift and keep clicking one of the edges continuously till you get, it's still the same thing. It's just that, we're trying to show you we are intermediate to advanced here, but this is a beginner class, so it doesn't matter. You can either choose to hold your alt shift, click on one of the edge, double click it, and then get all of them around, or hold your shift. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is the result of what you're trying to get. You're trying to cut out the shape you're trying to make. So now that we have that, we've done that. Let's now say, okay, we need to now duplicate this. Like, we need to take this out, bring it out. So to do that, separate it from this mesh. I think I would say, let me see, how am I going to split it from this mesh? Okay, I think it's, let me see, let me try the V. No, it's not the V. It's Shift D to duplicate it, and Enter to accept you've duplicated it. So now if you take it out, it's a separate vertices. It's a separate like vertex, or edge from the object. Although there's still one object, but it's still a separate for now. I would now expand, click on S for scale, and click and drag to scale out. We're trying to make the base of the roof here. So let me say this is fine. Okay. And then I can now go ahead. Let me bring it down a bit. Let's go to the front view and then bring it down to here. And I can now go into that mode. Now click on E for extrude, or you can come to the left side of your tool, of the tools of Blender, and find the extrude region here. Either ways, you can, and you put it, you can see that there's a shortcut. It says shortcut spacebar E, shift spacebar E. So I'll type E to extrude, and I will pull it up the Z axis, up, 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 up. So we have that pulled up now. Now that we've done that, pulled up, what we need to now, let's split up a bit. What we need to now is to press the scale, S for scale. Click on S, and you can pull it in like this. And you can see how easy it is to make our first hot shape, right? So even though we have this already, like we have it down here already, it's still, this is just the basic shape. And what I'm trying to, for grayscaling or gray boxing, it is as simple as the asset is. This is the same asset we're going to now like make more advanced later for the game to use. Like by the time we add textures, PBR, by the normals and everything, it will make it now look more high distance. So we're trying to reduce the amount. If you notice, it's still very, very low. Polygon is still very low. If you check on the bottom of your Blender statistics, cylinder vertices 12, edges 12 over 111, right? And then the trice is 90, faces 0 over 40. So it's still very low. Trying to make, so you can see, like, for example, like in games where you have a low poly and exactly that same object has a high poly. So I'm trying to achieve here. We're trying to make a low poly that we can send into the engine for people to start placing, to plan the world, the space, the environment, what it will look like, at the same time while the artists are working on the same assets to make it high poly for the final render of the game, right? So that's where gray boxing is very important. It still keeps you in the loop of design, letting you know what the artist should focus on while they are planning. And so, okay, based on how we are planning this stage right now, and based on the assets we drop in this stage, low poly assets, we realize that we need less houses than we need trees, or we need more stones than we need trees, or we need like more grasses than we need houses. based on how you're designing. Also, have to wait for people to finish the asset, and then you decide that we don't want this again. Back to the drawing board. It saves money and it saves time, long run. So let's go up to the roof and finish up what this roof looks looking like right now. I will zoom it in once more, it in, and then I would, let me see. I think it's a bit too small. Then click on E to extrude it up. E and with the axis. So if you click on E, pick the axis, or else it will be, now that I pick the Z axis, it won't be shaky, it just goes up straight, right? So pick this. And I also want to give a shout out to Louis Art. The first time I wanted to make a hut, it was his tutorial that I watched that helped me. So I'm following his templates from my watch from many years ago and changed my life on how to make a hut. One of the people that made great makes great tutorials for like how to make stuff for our kind of what we're trying to see, in our environment and games. So I'll click on E to extrude, enter, because I'm trying to make an extra edge, I will split out. So S to scale out again, and E to extrude it up, the Z axis, so it's straight, and then E one more time to extrude, but don't move it. Drop your click on enter to accept it, and then S to scale it in, and then let's pull it up like this, and then let's try and close it. So 0. Sometimes when you're trying to do this scaling and it's giving you issues, you can just, so let's say you're trying to scale something and it's a trick I learned. I've forgotten who I learned it from, or one of these YouTube tutorials. So if you're clicking on S and trying to scale and it's giving you issues, it's not, you can't tell if you are scaling too much and it starts to bleed out. Just while you click on S, while this is the highlight has, the scale has its control over that particular region, just tap on 0 on your keyboard and it will give you the 0 exact smallest number you can get that closes that point, and you can click on enter, and then you have all that points closed. And let's say one wanted a rounded edge here, so it's very straightforward. Just click on it, use the shift and alt like I told you, and click on the edge to select it round, and then let's go up to Control B for bevel to give it a beveled edge. No, let me just do two of them. So let me just do it for the bottom one too. Shift the edge for the same thing, and then I will say Control B for bevel, pull it in like this, so it makes it a rounded edge. And then while you pull it in like this, you can scroll your mouse using your mouse. That's why the mouse is very important for if you're trying to make objects quickly in 3D, especially Blender, all 3D softwares. Like the mouse is very, very crucial, right? So just scroll your mouse to add more lines to give it the curve for the edge to be smooth, and that's how you get smooth edges and bevel. So this is just something added on top, just I think just doesn't not necessary. I don't know if HOTS have that, but my HOTS has it. Okay, so yeah, we have this now. So we have this, we have a basic HOTS already in the scene. And let me see quickly. I will do this. Um, Let me scale out the base of the HOTS of the roof just to make it a bit down. So this is what the HOT looks like currently. If you notice right now, if we go back down, if we go back to the object mode and I switch object mode, the HOT and the roof are one object, right? And we can't separate them. And that means if you try to texture them, they'll be textured them differently. We need to split the roof from the body, the mod, because they're not made of the same object. When you're texturing them, they'll be two different objects, right? So the body will be made of mud and the roof will be made of grass, raffia, whatever wood, right? So we need to separate them. Let's go back to the edit mode. You can either come to the top left corner of Blender, click on the edit drop down here, click on the object mode drop down and pick your edit mode. Or you can just click on tab. You just change quickly between edit mode and object mode. And you can see the menus are context aware. The moment you switch into a mode, the menu changes. Everything changes to suit that particular menu. So let's go into the edit mode here. And let's quickly select the roof and separate it, make it a separate mesh. To do that, it's very straightforward. Blender has like this really cool, easy way to pick it up. So I don't know what it's called, or I just know that if you want to pick a mesh that has that's connected to like all the meshes that have the same vertices together, as it's separate from somewhere else. Let's say you have like plenty mesh in the scene. I want to pick up only one small bit of it, like the earring on a character, even if they're they're merged together. Just hover your mouse around that particular object and click on L on your keyboard. I don't know what that means today. Okay, select linked. Maybe that was it means. So, wow. Okay. Yeah. So it just picks the roof and everything else connected to the roof without taking the building itself. So now that I have the roof selected, all I need is go to the keyboard and press P. So it is separate by, it's asking me, what, do I want to separate it? How do I want to separate it? Why don't I separate it? Do I want to separate it by selection or by material or by loose parts? I want to separate it by selection, right? Because we selected it. So I want to separate the parts I have selected. You can also go to, I think, to get that same menu, I think you also go to, let me see. I think it's the face. Can it be face? And that's one thing about shortcuts. You end up using shortcuts so much, you don't even know what the real part to the menu looks like. So I think it's the mesh. Let me see. Okay, yes. You go to the mesh tab on the top, you will see, come down, you'll find separate, select by selection, right? It's still the same, but they put the shortcut and the shortcut is faster. So click on P to get that same function and click on, once you click on P, you notice the mesh now has a separate color. The roof has a separate color. That means it has been separated from the, what do you call it, the roof and the from the base, the body, right? So if I go back now to object mode, we're going to have two objects now. The roof is a separate object and the body is a separate object. I think this is the best time for us to start thinking of saving our scene and like organizing the scene right now, because we begin to take shape, right, from just basic shapes. We begin to take shape from just a cylinder to a roof and like the body of a building, the base of a building, right? So let's go to cylinder one, which is the body of the building. So let me say the mod at, just say the building. Like the new stuff in the outline, I could like forget a lot, and I know if I forget things, at least if I know what I'm looking at, I know what I'm looking at, right? So the next one, the cylinder 001 is the roof. Let's quickly double click it and we'll name it roof. I hope my mic, I hope you can hear, I hope you can hear me. I don't know. Let me check if there's any questions in the chat. I don't know. Okay. There's no one in the chat. So yeah, let's go back to what we're doing. So what we need to do now is, now we're here, we've gotten the roof and we've gotten the base and we have separated them and named the objects, right? What's remaining now is now trying to say, let's say, what details can we add to the body of this building to start to give it, to make it look like something that is real. Let's start giving it what the real world would look like. If a hut is made of wood and mud and sand and grass, right? So let's try and see how we can put the most basic versions of them without adding up polygons and still send them into a game engine and not have issues, right? So to do that, I'm not going to, I can easily start making a wood. Like I said, prototyping is time is short, and most times if you're an indie trying to do, wearing like 4 or 5 hats in your company, even if you're in a big company where all you do is just the arts, you still have to work with time, right? So you have to be smart. So use resources and platforms that are out there to help you. For example, I use sketchfab a lot. So I always go to sketchfab to scout for assets I might need. And I found this wood fence. It looks very convincing enough to be wood. And these are the kind of assets I like in a game engine, because the textures are doing all the work. All I need to add is decent normals, and nobody can tell for the wise or right, except you come very close. So let's go and download this. You come down here, it's free. Click on this, you'll see its commercial license is allowed to be used commercially. Even though I don't sell it, I just want to make sure at least I'm allowed to use it. And it's just 5 MB for the OBJ file. So all the author wants is to be credited and attribution. These people are very like sketchfab artists. I like, I'm grateful. Like they save me a lot of work. So I want you to give, if you're watching this, try and give Olivia LaRoque a shout out for taking this time to make something amazing we can use for this live stream, right? So let's just quickly click on this and download it. I have already downloaded it already. So let me just go get it from my, it's 5 MB. Let me go get it from my folder. So this is the folder where I put it in, the wood fence. So it comes with textures, and luckily I think the textures have normals. Like, wow, who does that? He even went as far as making normals and specular, gloss, wow, for free, right? And still very, very, like, the quality is good and it is cost effective. It's not heavy. So let's go to back to Blender and import that fence. That's wood. So I will go to bring it in. We'll go to File, Import, and let me see, Wavefront OBJ. Click on OBJ. Let's navigate to where that stuff is. Wood fence, source, sketch, and this. So I will import it now. Clicking on this, it will come in. Let's see where it is. I can't find it now. Wow, okay. It's such a large, very large for the scene, right? So I don't know if the materials came in. Let me go to this mode. Okay. Okay, materials. It's still up the materials. I don't know. Hopefully, I went to material mode to see if it to come in materials. Okay, no materials yet. So let's bring it down, scale it down to match the scene. Zoom in back. This is why the mouse is very, very important, because it helps you like quickly zoom in and zoom out to look for stuff in the scene. So I see a lot of people that try to work with their laptop mouse. Like, I don't know how you like get an external mouse is very necessary, please. Like, I don't even know how I would cope or call myself an artist if I didn't have a mouse. Like, right. So zoom in. So let me take it to the side, and we have this now. So let me take it to the side. I just need one of the pillars. I don't need all of them. I just need one to use. So let me take this and let's quickly, first of all, let's check the materials, see if we can add the materials. Go to it came in no materials, so but it came in the material folder, so we're fine. So let's quickly go into go to the properties tab, and then come down to the material properties. And then while the wood fence is selected, you click on you can see it didn't come with the materials, right? So right here is just showing us color, right? Let's just click on that to change it. Let's go and get the material texture, right? Click on this yellow dot by the side of the base color, and then you can navigate to the texture menu, come down to image textures. Immediately you select that, the object in the scene will turn to black, right? Shows that it's ready for you to bring and put an image on it, slap any image on it, right? So, and then we'll go to open, and then we'll navigate to where that textures are. These are the textures for the wood fence. So open this. Immediately we add that. You can see we've not even added the normals, but you can see it's a very convincing wood texture, right? If we want to add the normals, let's just quickly do that. Quickly, I will go into opening the shader editor. Click on this, and let's quickly edit this wooden texture. I like it so much. I want to see it. So it's selected here. You can see the albedo is already connected to the base color. So and to the principal BSDF. And please, I don't know what BSDF means. Can somebody if somebody knows what it means, just let me know. I'm not about to find out. Just about it now. What does it mean? I don't know. So the principal BSDF is the default like material node plugin you find whenever you go to your material shader editor for Blender. Okay, so now we have that. We need to add the normals. If you check and you come down here, you're going to find there's a normal node plugged down here, right? So we go after, and we already know we have the normals in the folder. So let's drag that into the scene. So let's go to the normals. This is normals. That's the detailed information for where all the details, the cracks, tries to convince you that you're looking at a real object that has depth. So let's drag it into Blender and drag it to the shader editor and just drop it in. This is normals now. All we need to do is we can either connect it straight, but it's not. There has to be an in between normals node to interpret the information, the normals information, right? So to do that, let's in an empty space. Just click on Shift A, and it will pop up a menu where you can search for normals. So let's search for the normals. NOR normal map. So I don't know if it's normal map or normal. It's normal map. Okay, yes, I think this is I got it. The two normals always confuse me. I don't know which one is which, but I always have to pick one, the wrong one every time. So so I will drag the color to the color, then I now drag the normals to normal, and immediately you will see Blender react to first we read the information, and it will load it back in now. So now we have the normals, and it's a bit different right now. So this is the material mode node. We can't see the full. Let me go to If I go to the rendered, probably it will be a bit better. This is the EV, so there's not much light. I think maybe that's why we're having this. Let me see. Let me go to this. Ambient occlusion, bloom. Okay, so there's no much light is not reaching this yet, so we can't really see all the information. But that's the normals already added to it, and it gives it details, right? See, even right now, okay, if I come in here like this and I decide to, this is the strength. Why I like this normal map node, you can play with the strength if you don't want it to upright. You can play with the strength of your normals just to give it more details if you want. But I think one is fine. Let's leave it at one. So the normals adds that other underlying information that makes it feel like it's real enough. Especially for game engines, it's very necessary for PBR. It's one of the best things that happens to game engines where you can trick the camera that you're looking at something very high quality. Meanwhile, the polygon mesh is very, very low. Like it's not expensive for the RAM, but the picture information can make you feel like you're looking at something of the highest quality, right? So we fixed the normals. Let's go back to the let's go back to let's take this down. All we need is just one of the pillars. I need one of the pillars. I don't need the rest. So I'll go to edit mode, and I would use the L function that selects linked polygons, I think. So let me just click on L to take away all these other ones. I don't need them. Just pointing them and clicking on L is what I'm doing. Picking up the dots too. I don't want the dots too. Okay, so now if I click on delete, all these files, so all these would be thrown away. We don't need it. We just need only one vertices, so they're all gone. I just need this one, and I want to delete. We are trying, being that I'm trying to make stuff for a real time rendering that will go into Unity probably later. I need to make sure that any unnecessary faces are deleted. We don't need that, right? So let me go to face number 3 to go to the face mode, and then on this delete it faces, and then we go to the bottom of the wood and then do the same. We don't need any of this. We'll be seeing that computer doesn't need to calculate anything it doesn't need. So this delete faces. Yeah. So now we have just this wood. I go back to object mode. Right now the center is wacky. We need to just I want to recenter the point, the pivot point. That's very straightforward in Blender. I can just go to, while the object selected, I can go to object on the top bar here, object, set origin to center of mass. If I click on this, it will recenter the pivot point to the center of the object. And then we can then now start going down to place this wood around the building and even in the roof, just to make it like to create supports that because this building cannot just be standing by just itself, it needs support, and we need to create that realism by placing the support in what a hut will look like. Because I don't know if any of us have seen huts face to face. I've only seen pictures, I haven't seen live. So But the picture that I see, I know that there are wood supports. Even if we check in the picture we're looking at, the references we had. Let me go back to Miller notes. You can find that there's some supports in most of the pictures, right? You can see some wood some places, right? There are woods in this holding these frames up, right? Inside the building, holding the roof up. So we need to try and mimic some of those designs too in what we're trying to achieve. So I will come in here and I'll come in here now and just quickly start to place the wood around. So let me quickly do that. The first thing first is the door. We need to place the wood in the door for the frame of the door because we know the mud won't stay up by itself. So we need the wood to guide. If you've been around, I've been around building houses. I always see them use wood to prop up bamboos to prop up the initial cementing and stuff. So that's what I'm trying to achieve here with this. So let me first duplicate this wood because we need a lot of this. To duplicate it, I need to do shift D to duplicate, enter, and then we have a separate one. So I'll bring it back here and then put it at the edge of the door. It's still too big, so I will shorten it by changing to the scale and then pull it down. And then let's please bring it here down. I'm not sure that I'm glad this class is two classes. At least we can see the basic shape is achieved. By next class, we should be rounding up with texturing and then bringing it into the engine. So hold on. Sorry, it's okay. So I'm pulling this down here. I will duplicate this. Shift B, enter, and then I pull it to the other side of the door. To make it not look too uniform, you can see the wood looks like it's the same. Let's just try. You can just do a cheap trick of rotating. Very cheap trick, just rotate the object so they can see it's not really the same. It's a bit different. So, and then let's shift D to duplicate this, and then let's rotate it horizontally this way, and then let's move it up. Okay, so I need to make this curve. We need to curve it up because it needs to go. I need to shorten. Actually, I will shorten it. So let me go to scale and then bring it in like this. Okay. Okay, so this is it. And then I'm going to go into edit mode, A to select it all, and then scale it, Alt S to scale it from center. It gets far. I want it to be fatter so that it looks like a wood that can hold up this cement. This if you notice, we go in here, it's a bit curved. Being that it's going to be, we're trying to trick it to look realistic. We have to focus on a lot of attention to details because we're not going to add. We're going to control how much polygons we add to this mesh. So, and then click on this. Let me go to edge mode. This, hold Alt Shift and click on this, and then we'll move it up like this. Same thing for this. Hold on Shift, and then we'll move it up, move it forward to like this. And this, and then let's go to X-ray mode so we can select even it to the end, and then I want to pull it back to hide these hollow points of the edge. Same thing I want to achieve here too. Pull it like this and then pull it back. Okay, so we have gotten the basic form of this hut right now, and we did this only in just an hour and less. So we're going to share more pillars because let's say this building want the pillars around the building so it doesn't look like something that could fail. And we can also try and let's see if we can cut a window in before our time expires. So let's say this is hot one, and I will take this shape. I go back to object mode. I'll take this shape, and then I would shift D to duplicate it, enter, and then I'll raise it up. I need to add it to the roof. Roof needs support, and we need to scale that out. So let me scale it up like this and rotate it to suit. I could use an array for this, but I don't want to spend time filling on an array when I can do manually, right? I can do it manually. So okay, so that's just it. So this is just like how in just a few minutes, primitive shapes and borrowing stuff from Sketchfab, platform like Sketchfab, has gotten me to where I can make something decent enough from just a little bit more time, and we'll have something very realistic enough to take into the engine, a game engine, and give you good quality while still maintaining low cost on your render for RAM. If you take it, if you're going to move from a mobile to a low end PC, you're sure that your users can enjoy the game, something of good quality that will not run their system or their phone down. So that is what my aim is in the game industry. This is how I design. I design things like I'm always thinking about, even if I'm going to render this asset and it's going to look good. If somebody wants to make a game with this asset, if somebody hires me to do a game asset for games, am I going to make something that's going to be useless to them? Because that counts a lot. And even if you want to watch your polygons, you don't can you try and make the art still look presentable while still on low poly? Those are the things that bother me in this industry I'm trying to achieve. That's what I've been studying for years to get. I'm not there yet because there's no school for it, but a lot of self-study and a lot of tutorials online is getting me to where I want to get to. So right now I'm trying to expand it, make like support for the roof, right? For the roof, throughout for the roof. What I need to do is I want, but the direction of the gizmo is not giving me what I want, right? Because it's doing a default, which is like a global pointing set arrangement orientation. So I'll just change it to a local orientation. That way, it's giving me it's orientated. I'm getting my shape along the lines of where my objects lie, right? So I've gotten this now. So what I need to do now is I've made this one stick. I want to rotate, I want to duplicate and rotate and add more to it. I will one way I can do this, I will have to change the pivot point of this particular stick to achieve what I want, of this particular pole to achieve what I want. Let me quickly show you before our time is up because I think I'm proud we're able to get one of the hots up. There's never enough time uh, on the hot up, right? So let me see. So let's do this. Quickly do this by let me see. Okay. So one way to duplicate this wood around this object. First of all, I think I want to add a loop and then close up this edge. I don't like the way it's looking. I think I should close up this edge. Um, so let's see. Or I can just add something that thickens it, right? To make it look strong because it's looking very thin right now. Let me click on this. I'll add the solidifier modifier and you guys tell me if it looks good already. So let me see. Go to the um, modifier properties and then go to add modifier and then scroll down to solidify and we can see immediately how we can begin to make it. Let me see. So by increasing this, you can see we give the wood, we're giving the stick a bit of depth and firmness. So it doesn't look like this really light. How is this holding the roof up? Does it make so? Let it look like a wood or bamboo or something that makes sense, you know. So I'm just trying to add that to give it details that people can see. And it will still not adding more, so it's not adding like divisions to it, right? So now we've done that. Let's now duplicate this wood around the building. Can be only one support, right? Let me click on this and let's change the pivot. So first I want to change the pivot is the wood. I'll change the pivot. I want to move the pivot to the top here. Move the pivot to the top. Move the pivot to the top here. Okay. And I will tell the sorry. And I will go to Ben and ask it to give me and I will go to Ben and ask go to the object, set origin to 3D cursor, right? So I'll click on this. Now the origin is on the top now. So if I duplicate that particular wood, enter, and I decide to rotate it, it will rotate from the top, and that way I get this. You understand? I get this rotation where I can just let me change it to local, so that it gives, so I get this rotation where Okay. Okay. So I guess rotation where I'm able to so duplicate one more, and duplicate some more, enter, then rotate it. Okay, and then I can bring it down. Take this, and then I would bring it in, go to the move tool, take it down a bit, rotate. So yeah, so that's just it, like me, not sure trying to get things out quickly, looking like it's there's a lot of work was done to it. But meanwhile, we know that we're trying to make sure we're trying to fake it, trying to fake high quality at the same time while trying to make sure because we have to fake it to get good response from the gameplay as much as we want to get high quality. So that's just me in a nutshell. And should D, let's duplicate one more, and then let's duplicate it. Okay. So we're getting this stuff. So just a bit of arrangement. Before you know, we'll get this out. Let me see if we can get this done before time is up. It's a few minutes down before time is up. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. I didn't know it would be this fast. Come on. It's not fair. So let me click on this and then adjust it this way. Sorry if you can hear the noise. It's a house, it's a full house. And Shift D, enter, rotate, and then okay. I think one more will just do the trick. Let me get this one. Just make one more. Shift D. So basically, this is what we're trying to achieve. So I think I'll go. We're still one more class. We're still going to have one more meeting in the next like in a few days time, and I will go ahead and do some more work on this. And that particular class will be where we'll finish up what we're doing here and try to bring them into Unity, into a game, the Unity game engine. And it will be more of an explanation, like a tech demo of showing you how I went about achieving. But at least you're able to see this first beginning and see that we're able to get this basic shape out. The most important thing is not the shape itself, it's the details you add. And you have to be mindful of the amount of details you add because you want to have a very high quality object that will look very convincing in game engine, render and play in real time on almost every system, on every platform you can find, like mobile or web, but still take in mind that the platforms not be expensive for this not to run smoothly, right? So that's what I dedicated my arts to for the past 5 years of teaching people. I've always found out my question is how can I make this amazing, look amazing, and still not cost much on the engine on whatever platform I'm sending this file up to. So that's more important question for me than anything else. So it's a few minutes. We just have like 5 minutes more. I don't see what I'm trying to what more details I can add. So let me quickly just go to edit mode with the body. Edit mode. Click on this top shift. I need to make the roof a little bit higher. There's a space I don't. Let me take it up a bit. Okay. So we can see that even in game engine, if you run towards this hut and you come in, you will feel like you are in a hut, even without us finish texturing it already. By just if you give it colors alone, if you will feel like you're running. So by the time we add like raffia on top of the roof with some zinc patches, and then give the mud texture to this with a decent normals that will be very convincing. And you put this in an in-game engine, it will be hard for people to tell if it wasn't sculpted, and it will run smoothly and not cost much for the system because you know you're going to duplicate in a village. Say you have a character going to a village, you have like 4 or 5 or 10 huts. Imagine if they're all 20,000 polygons or 10,000 polygons. You're talking about serious overhead cost. So we'll try to keep it as low as we can. That way, we're able to deliver assets that people, both the creators can enjoy using, and the users can get a good like representation of appreciation from appreciate it and still not disturb their gameplay. So yeah, that's just. I wish I can. Let me see if there are questions or anyone in the chat. If there's anything I need to. If there's anything I missed. Okay. So yeah, that's just me. It. So one of the places I'm going to get textures from is Polyheaven. We'll be doing the next class. By next class, we'll be bringing in textures. Some of these textures coming with normals, so we don't have to create our own normals, and we can use that and do our own work on top of it, and then get more out of this texture by making the hot look convincing. So that when we bake it and then move it into a game engine, it looks convincing, and yet still doesn't run your system down. So yeah, that's just that's for part one of creating art with Blender and and building worlds in game engines like Unity. So next class, hopefully, we'll be meeting in the Unity game engine where we use these assets to now plan out the scene and the player character will run through and enjoy. So please, any questions or any feedback? If not, let's just enjoy, continue enjoying this whole stuff. Okay, so mhm, let me see if what else. Okay, I think I'll just go ahead and download the materials right now while we wait. So these are the two materials I'm planning to use. I think this will be better for a hot, right? This will be better for a hot, I think. But we will know by next class. We'll try it out together and then we'll decide. Yeah. So it's just 2 minutes to go. I think I will end it here right now so that by the next class, by the part two, we'll start from where we stop, where we're talking about texturing and moving it into the Unity game engine and using other assets in Unity game engine to supplement this art we brought from Blender and make a very amazing game scene that will run on any low end PC. Thank you guys. So I'll see you next class. Hello, hello.